Hello, my friends. Good morning again. Lovely to be with you once again. It is a pleasure to be with you. My name is Mr Dilly, of course, and we've got a lot to get through today. So, special event, Library Lovers Day. Now, maybe you are already a book lover, someone who can't wait to get lost in an amazing story of some sort, or maybe you're still searching for the right book to kind of get you inspired and get you reading and going, wow, I love reading. Maybe that's you, and that's fine as well. Today is about giving you that inspiration and maybe coming up with some ideas for you all to find that book, that really kind of speaks to your soul and gets you on that kind of reading journey. So how are we going to do that? Well, we have some amazing guests for you today coming up, going to help you, inspire you, tell us about their stories, their books, and about kind of their journey. We're going to learn a little bit about maybe what they were like as children. Were they big readers? Were they not readers? And what books kind of spoke to them when they were a bit younger. So there is a book out there for everyone. Today, we're going to help you find it. Oh, yes, we will. Let's get those hands together as we welcome the wonderful Reeve McIntyre. Reeve McIntyre. Give us a big
hello.
And welcome Nicky Smith-Dale. Big
hello.
And I meant to say Jennifer Bell, who is my other guest today, she has had to pre-record her bit, so she will be on a bit later on, but she's not a live guest today. So, how are you all? So, Reeve McIntyre, how are you both?
Doing really well, thanks.
Very good.
Glad to be here.
Nicky, all good for you?
Fantastic. Very happy to be here.
Oh, wonderful. I wanted to have you on. So, we'll be talking more about your latest books in a moment. As we said, this is Library Lovers Day, or slightly in advance of Library Lovers Day tomorrow. Let's start with you, Philip and Sarah. When you were a child, were libraries a big thing in your life at school or a local library? So, Sarah, what about you? Did it feature heavily?
Yeah, they were. Although I must confess, my very first library book, my mother told me I threw it in the bathtub. So I destroyed it. So don't do that, everyone. That's not the way to.
That book's awful.
I think I was mad and I chucked it in the bath. But I think when I got a bit older, I was quite nervous of checking out new books that I didn't know. So I tended to look for books that had matching spines, like the Nancy Drew mystery books all had yellow spines. So I went through all of those and, all the books. And that's kind of why we put matching spines on our books. So you could just look for the spines. It's very reassuring to have matching spines.
So is it the Nancy Drew mysteries, because they're still published now, so they were kind of your in.
Well, the funny thing was, don't tell this to the authors, but I didn't actually like them very much. It's just that they were reassuring. I used to go on and on how annoying they were.
I got the whole lot and threw the whole lot in the bath.
I think this was my favorite book, is the Calvin and Hobbes comics. But we had to queue for them. There was often a long queue, and for the Garfield books, so you only got them after you waited for 30 weeks. So yeah.
So going into a library, I think for some people, I think even as an adult, can be, especially if you're not really used to them, can be kind of a bit overwhelming sometimes. It can be a bit sort of intimidating for even for children as well. I've got to find a book. And what is this? I don't know how. But what about yourself? Did you have any of those feelings? So Philip, what about you? Did you find that something that kind of spoke to you when you were younger?
I grew up in Brighton, and there was a big public library in the centre of the town, and then we also had a mobile library that came and sort of parked at the top of our road every Thursday. So I had kind of two libraries to go to, and my parents always used to go to the library every week. So I guess I was going with them from quite an early age. So I was very used to, I wasn't overwhelmed by it particularly.
Yeah. Were there any sort of books that kind of grabbed you when you were?
Well, I was looking at this is a copy I bought for myself later. I didn't steal it from the library. But this is one. I remember seeing this on the library shelf when I was sort of 8 or 9 or something. It's called How to Be Top, and I thought, I'd quite like to be top. That sounds interesting. But of course, it isn't.
That. What is that then?
Sorry.
What is that? Can you show us inside?
It's about a schoolboy called Nigel Molesworth, and it's all written by him, and he can't spell or anything, and it's got fantastic illustrations by Ronald Searle. It's written by Geoffrey Williams and Ronald Searle, who obviously works as a team, and they work very closely together, a writer and illustrator. So I think that's kind of. These days there are lots of books like this, because there's a bit of Captain Underpants and stuff like this. These very sort of anarchic, silly books with lots of pictures. But back in the 1970s. It's the first time I'd ever seen anything like this, and I remember going home and reading it and laughing uproariously.
That is amazing. Isn't that wonderful? I love it. I'm going to get myself. Everyone should get a book of that.
It's
How to
classic.
Be Top.
Yeah, the Molesworth books. There are 4 of them, and they're brilliant.
And they never went near a bath. So lucky you didn't know Sarah then, because you know.
No. Yeah, she'd have had that in the bath.
So Nicky, what about you? Were you sort of a big reader when you were younger, or did you have a library?
I was. I have such nice memories of my mum taking me to the public library. I grew up in Portsmouth, and we had a lovely big library there. And I've got such lovely memories of my mum taking me and my sister to the library on a Saturday morning and just spending ages perusing the shelves and choosing something that we thought looked really nice.
Was there something you?
I did want to say that. Sorry.
Oh, God, sorry. No, get you finished. No, sorry, go on.
I was going to say that a book that I used to really love, well, there were a few. One was the Princess Smarty Pants books, which sadly I don't have one to show you today, but I love them so much. They were so funny, and I feel like they've really inspired me. The other one was the Jolly Postman books, which I recently bought for my son because I saw it on the shelf and I thought I used to love that so much. So I recently bought that for him. And I just remember how exciting it was going through the pages and picking out the letters and reading them out. It was just the most exciting thing. But I think the library copies were maybe a little bit, they had a few missing pages and missing letters, but still great.
What was that? Does he like the book? Is he enjoying it?
He absolutely loves it. Yeah. I also have a 2-year-old, so she likes it, but she just tries to grab all the letters and screw them up. So it's a bit tricky with her.
He's got a little stash of letters somewhere to put somewhere. So this is wonderful to do. I remember we had a library near us, and I didn't have one in the school, and I remember going to it, and I've said this on previous shows, but the one I just remember going to the section. It was a big, it's gone now, but it's a new library, but it's a great big white block, this building. It looked like some sort of futuristic building, this, and I remember finding that as a kid. It's hugely sort of wow, going in there, get in the children's section, and I found Where the Wild Things Are, and I just sat there, and I just remembered this sort of incredible fear, but like incredible wonder at it, because of the monsters and stuff. And every time I went in there, I remember just getting the book, sort of slowly getting it out and opening it up. And to this day, it kind of stayed with me, and I've got a copy. It's a beautiful book. So there's a book out there for everybody. So it's lovely to just How to Be Top. I'm going to get myself one of those. But it's wonderful to do that. Now, what we're going to do, Nicky, we're going to say goodbye to you. We'll be speaking to you later on. So we'll be speaking to Nicky later on. All our guests, by the way, will be joining us for a sort of a Once Upon a Library author panel later on, just talking about libraries and books a bit more about later on. But we're going to stay with Reeve McIntyre. We're going to say goodbye to Nicky for a moment. So, Nicky, goodbye for a moment. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a moment. And we're going to go straight in to Philip Reeve and Sarah McIntyre with Mice. Dun, dun, dun. Now, listen, this is quite incredible. I don't know if any of you watching this saw this, but I had Philip and Sarah on, I think the year before last, with the first in their Adventure Mice books. Which number are we on now, or soon? Which one are we on now?
So 6 is coming out, like kind of World Book Day.
Yeah.
And then we've got, I'm working on number 7, the pictures.
I've just written number 8. Yes.
That's incredible. Did you, when you started this, was it always going to be this sort of endless kind of thing, or did it depend on which?
Yeah, we knew we wanted to keep it going for as long, because our previous books we were writing things like Oliver and the Seawigs and Pugs the Frozen North. They're all separate. Each one's a separate story. So we thought it would be nice to do a whole series about the same characters. So each one is still a separate story. You don't have to read them in order or anything, but we just keep sort of going back to the same characters.
In that case, tell us. I've got me. It's great cover, wonderful thing. It always weird on my creature, but the for those who aren't familiar with the series, I mean, obviously you can't go through the whole sort of story of 6 books, but tell us who the Adventure Mice are, and tell us. Here we go. Look, let me get off the screen, and you tell us. Go through them a bit. I'll remove myself.
Well, these the Adventure Mice are a team of brave and daring mice, and they live on the Mouse Islands.
Way.
This is Sarah's map of the Mouse Islands, which are just a load of little rocks where mice have built a whole civilization for themselves. And whenever danger threatens, whenever some an otter attacks or there's a storm or something, the Adventure Mice are the people who have to leap into action and sort things out. And they've got kind of planes and boats and all the things you need for solving problems, and they have adventures each book.
It starts with little Pedro who goes to join them, and this is the team that he joins. So there's 7 mice in total, and they all go and have lots of adventures together. So this is the very first book, Utter Chaos. And the latest book is Mice Camera Action. But that's not out yet, so nobody has seen it.
Yes, you're the first. You're going to be the first to see it and the first to hear a little bit of it, because I think we're going to read you a bit.
Yes, absolutely. So do you when you, because obviously you probably asked lots of questions about working together on this, and as you said, you worked on other books as well. How does it kind of work? How does it kind of work? Do you write, obviously with Philip, you write the words, but do you ever change the story based on?
Well, yeah, we write them together really, because it all started with Sarah's pictures. She was drawing mice on boats, and we thought, oh, we'll make stories about those. And the idea, Pedro is her character, and we came up with the other characters together. And then we kind of talk about what the stories are going to be, and then I go away and write them, but Sarah puts in her ideas all the time, and then we do the roughs for the illustrations together.
Because secret fact, Philip's actually an illustrator. He did a lot of the
I've seen some of your drawings. They're
So
incredible.
he helps me with the pencil versions of the pictures.
Do you ever if you write something, Philip, and then or you say you've both written something, do you then say or the other way around, if Sarah's maybe drawn something, I know you said you work on them together, but say it like that. Do you ever kind of maybe when you're drawing something kind of add something to it and go, oh, actually we could put that in the story, or vice versa, the other way around? Does it ever happen like that?
Well, yeah, and there are sort of quite often when you're putting a drawing together, you find that what's written in the text, it's not that easy to draw. Maybe you need something to be different, and it's much easier to change the words than to change the picture. So
sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes let's do this. This would be better. And other times it's like, oh no, I made a mistake. Can we just fix the text and fit it?
We're having mistakes is good. The Adventure Mice, obviously, Adventure Mice, super brave. Here's a question for you. Have they ever been on a mission that even you wouldn't dare go on?
Yes, they're going to space in a tin can, and I think that was very foolhardy. And so did they, to be honest.
Most of their adventures I don't think I'd fancy, really. They all seem quite dangerous. So,
but also we're very tall and they're that big.
Yes.
So
I think that's a pretty good answer. I'll be with you on that one. We've got a couple of school questions for you. I know you're going to give us a reading. Sarah's going to be doing an Adventure Mice draw along for us a bit later on as well. So let's have our first question up for you. So this is Clinic Primary School in East Ayrshire in Scotland. Thank you for your question. Do you get your ideas from watching Friends and Family? It's a good question.
Hi, Arkalek. Yeah, actually, I do. I do definitely. Okay. I know whole books I've based on friends of mine and family. Like Grumpy Corn was based on a friend who never did their work, and then Stuart, my husband, Vernon Lettuce, my comic, Vernon the sheep, was totally my husband. What about you?
Well, not. I don't really base things, but I mean, these whole books, they only exist because Sarah and I are friends and we have fun coming up with stories together. So I guess in a way, there's that. And I used to read lots and lots of books to my son when he was little. So that kind of gave me an idea for what children want to hear when you're reading a story to them. So that's
all in there, though, isn't it? It's all in there. You just kind of little things spark off and you sort of remember things.
Yeah.
But thanks for that's great. So I don't know. I said that. Clinic. Primary school. So thank you very much for your question. That's another quick school question for you. Here we go. So hi for primary school, Manchester. Thank you very much. When you are stuck when writing, what helps you know what to write?
Hello, Highfield.
Hello, Highfield. I don't know.
You just draw something, I think, or write something else.
Write something else. That's that. Yeah, if you really get stuck on a story, just write another story, and then you can come back to the first story, and hopefully you'll have some new ideas.
Or sometimes deliberately try to make it really stupid. And just do the stupidest story you can imagine. Sometimes that just entertains you so much that it ends up being the real story.
Yeah, if you get to a point where you don't know what's going to happen next, you think, well, what could happen? And you probably come up with 2 or 3 different ideas, and you just pick the one that seems most likely. And
throw them in the bath. We do that bit.
There's that option.
Let's have one more school question, and then we go for I've got another question from myself, and then we'll go for a reading for you. So let's have this is actually from South Carolina. Here we go. So Charleston Collegiate School, South Carolina. You want to say, what is your favourite part of the writing process? So I know, obviously, as you said, you work on these together, but you obviously are separate authors yourself. So maybe either or for that question.
I think, hi, Charleston and Americans.
I'm from Seattle. One of your country people.
Yeah, my favourite part of writing, I think, is thinking, what would I like to draw? And so often I'll write a book just so I can draw exactly what I want to draw. So, yeah. And then you do that. You ask me what I want to draw.
Yes. When we're working together, I sort of think what would make a good Sarah picture. And my favourite part, I don't know. It's when my favourite part is when it's going well. When you're writing a story, and you kind of get into this state where it sort of like starts writing itself, and you just you don't really have to think about it. It just sort of flows. That's always very good, but it's fairly rare.
You must know. I mean, because of the work you've done together, you must know each other so well in terms of the way you both work and have both think, and that must be a huge kind of must be a lot of joy in that between the two of you. Kind of like, oh, I'm looking forward to what she does with that. I'm looking forward to what he does with that, and vice versa. Is that the case?
Yeah, I can actually bounce ideas off Philip in my head without Philip being there, because I'm like, oh, I can see what Philip would say about that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so one more Adventure Mouse question, then we're going to go for a reading for you. So, if you were an Adventure Mouse yourself, okay, what would your special skill or mission be?
Oh, I would totally be Fledermaus, who is that mouse, and he's really good at flying a stunt plane. Like he can do a seaplane, but he can do loop-de-loops and barrel rolls, and I would be an awesome pilot. Yes,
he's sort of turned into my favourite character, hasn't he? Because he's a bit of a twit as well.
Well, also,
yes. I don't know. I wouldn't be an Adventure Mouse. I'd be a very quiet mouse who sits around and writes down the Adventure Mouse's adventures, because I don't really like adventures.
And I would annoy him by going over his head.
Sarah would annoy me by flying over. I'm doing skywriting, so
very good. Okay, so listen, are you going to give us a little? Are we going to read from the new book?
We are.
You're the first one.
Thank you very much, Charleston College.
I have to explain a little bit in this book. It's like because the Adventure Mice learn that a famous mouse film director is going to make a film of their previous adventures. They had an adventure where they were attacked by an otter, and this film director is going to make a film about this. So they go to Hollybush. Have we got a picture of Hollybush? Yeah. This is the mouse Hollywood, where all mouse movies are made, and the Adventure Mice arrive. There's this character called Scoot McHairy who is going to show them around, and he takes them into the studio where the film is being shot. And in the middle of the studio there is a bath. We love bathtubs.
Yeah, and it's got that ship in it,
don't we? And there is a model in the bathtub. There's a sort of fake mock-up of the Adventure Mice's big ship, the Daring Dormouse. And there are actors on it who are all dressed up as the different Adventure Mice. And so the Adventure Mice are going to watch a scene being filmed, which is very exciting, except Pedro, who is the youngest and littlest of the Adventure Mice, remember, he doesn't really know what a film is, so he finds it all very confusing. So let's start reading. It's page 29.
Okay.
Down in the bathtub, the super stylish pretend Juniper had run to stand beside the pretend Skipper.
Oh, Skipper!
She squeaked, waving her paws about in a peculiar way.
Can't we turn back to the mouse base? I'm so afraid.
Well, that's not very realistic, said the real Juniper. I'd never be scared of a silly old otter. Shh, said Scoot, waving at her to be quiet. Don't be afraid, young Juniper, said the pretend Skipper. I will protect you. Just then, from the churning waters on the far side of the ship, a terrible shape arose. It had long spiky whiskers and huge staring eyes. It opened its mouth to reveal lots of sharp white teeth and let out an ear-splitting bark. It was an otter. The biggest, scariest otter poor Pedro had ever seen. The loudest otter he had ever heard. The mice on the ship all squeaked with alarm and scurried to take cover. But the otter leaned over in a strange, stiff, jerky sort of way and reared up with the pretend Juniper dangling from his jaws by her tail.
Help!
Screamed the pretend Juniper.
I would never make all that silly noise,
said the real Juniper crossly. Great special effects, though, said Ivy. Shh, said Scoot. Pedro looked at his friends. He couldn't believe none of them was doing anything to help. Someone was going to have to do something, or those actors would all be eaten. Bravely, he scampered to the edge of the platform.
I'll save you, pretend Juniper,
he shouted. Shh, shushed Scoot. There were lots of useful cables dangling over the bathtub with microphones and lights and things hanging on them. Pedro flung himself from the platform's edge, grabbed the first cable he came to and used it to swing himself aboard the ship. The deck was wet with rain and kept tipping steeply up and down, but Pedro was an Adventure Mouse, so he was used to that sort of thing. He scrambled to the front of the ship, snatched the sword from the pretend Skipper's scabbard, and flung himself at the otter.
Take that!
He shouted and gave it a really hard poke. Ooh. He had expected the otter to say, ow. That was what Pedro would have said if someone had poked him with a sword. His plan was that while the otter was busy saying ow, it would have to let go of pretend Juniper, and then she would fall and Pedro could catch her. He had not expected the otter to explode. He'd never heard of otters exploding before. It just wasn't the sort of thing that otters went in for. But it was exactly what this otter did. There was a loud bang! And sparks, springs and cogwheels burst from beneath the otter's wet fur. One of its eyes popped out and went trundling along the ship's deck, bowling all the fake adventure mice over like skittles. Pedro was so confused he had forgotten about pretend Juniper until she landed on his head and knocked him over. "What are you doing?" she asked angrily.
"I'm rescuing you from the otter, pretend Juniper,"
said Pedro. "It's a mechanical otter, you absolute dumpling," pretend Juniper shouted. "You've ruined everything." And she scrambled up and stomped away. Oh no, poor Pedro,
mess.
What a mess.
But, that is amazing. I love the way you read that. It's brilliant. Honestly, that was great.
Well,
Great.
Don't worry too much about Pedro, because later when an actual otter arrives, the adventure mouse have to sort it out, so Pedro will save the day. Oh look, actually,
brilliant. We have a question on the live chat for you. We had a couple of questions actually, but I probably won't get a chance to answer one. So this is from Thongsley Fields Maple class. Thank you very much for your question, Miss Tebbs. Hello, Miss Tebbs. Do you prefer writing and illustrating picture books or chapter books, and why? So I guess that's both of you separately or together.
Let's see. Hi, Miss Tebbs' class. I prefer, well, I don't know. I used to do picture books because I thought I liked the bigger format, but actually I like Adventure Mice, the length of it, because there's more story, so I can get more involved and make quite a more complex world. Like right now, I can show you a secret picture from a book we're doing now, and I designed a whole treehouse for mice. There's the painting.
Let me just get rid of myself. Hold it.
It's so much fun to paint. There you can see. Nobody's seen this. This is a secret picture. So.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. I love tree houses. I haven't got one, but I do love them. What about yourself? Because obviously, at the moment, obviously, you're.
I've never done a picture book. I like a bit more space to make the story work. I don't think I could write anything as short as a picture book. When people who do them are very clever and they're amazing. But
thank you.
like her. I started out writing stuff like this, long novels like Mortal Engines without any pictures in at all. I think I need at least the length of Adventure Mice story work.
And this is actually the second question, because they sent two questions in, one after the other. So we're just quick on the second question, but this is the second one from Thongsley Fields Maple class. Yes, you get two questions. There we go. Which of the Adventure Mice books is your favorite, and why, if you have one?
For me, I would say it's the one I'm working on now, because I'm actually I'm learning a lot about watercolor painting, and the more each book I've got more skills. So actually, I think the paintings I'm doing now are way better than the paintings that I started with. Even though they're fun.
I think you started with are pretty good.
But I think I'm just getting skills, man. Get skills.
But I think usually it's the one that we're working on at the moment that's the favorite, because you can still change it. It's kind of alive. It's this is probably my favorite so far, and the next one will be better.
Well, I think things, because otherwise, if you're sort of going, actually, the one we're on now is not I prefer that one.
I know that would be sad, wouldn't it? So
keep it going. Well, Philip and Sarah, Adventure Mice. Mice Camera Action is out in a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Very soon. Might find it in the bookshops already.
This is the latest one that is out. The Ghost Thing.
13th of March, apparently. Is that right? So
okay, yeah, probably not quite
a month today, I think so. So that's all the others are available. Philip and Sarah will join us later on for our sort of Once Upon a Library chat as well. And of course, we'll be seeing Sarah again for our draw along very, very soon. But listen, lovely but wonderful. You're reading. I mean, come on, that's one of the best readings we've ever had. That's amazing. So I give you a round of applause. Reeve and McIntyre, speak to you both later on. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well done. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to speak to Nicky Smith-Dale in just a minute. Before we do that, I've got a little video, as it's Library Lovers Day. This is actually from Scholastic, who are a big sort of publishing distributor across the world for children's books. This is actually a load of children from America. Some of them are your age, sort of primary school age, and some of them are secondary school. But they're children. They're the same as everyone else children. And basically, they're just going to be talking about why they love reading and Hope this will give you some ideas, because some of them didn't, some of them really do. And let's have a look at that, and then we're going to be back with Nicky in just a moment. Here we go.
I like to read endlessly. Like I don't like to stop.
My mom came in the room one day and she was like, "Oh, you don't read?" I was like, "Yeah, there's this teacher, Ms. Dickinson," and she was like, "Oh, the teacher that you didn't like a couple weeks ago?" And I was like, "Yeah, she gave me this book, and I actually loved the book."
I was like, I hate reading, this is stupid. Later, I just discovered that that book just wasn't for me, and that there were books out there that are for me.
If you just read because you have to read, it's no fun.
When I read for fun, there's no pressure. I could read a page tomorrow and 30 the next.
I don't know why people don't like reading if they can get the things that they want, they're interested in and everything.
In education, it's like a powerful thing to have.
I want to try to challenge myself and learn new words and bigger words. I really like the word gigantic for some reason.
If you don't like reading, you're missing out all the fun.
I read whenever I can. I read in the car. I'm not supposed to because supposedly to fix your eyes. But I eat a lot of carrots, so that's my justification. My friends call it reading mode, so they won't talk to me because they know I'd be distracted, and they'd have to be like, "Lydia, stop." Every book I read, I like more than the last one.
When you read something, like, you feel the emotion. It's like, oh.
Reading makes me happy because I can learn more about stuff and think about maybe if I want to do that or not. It has different aspects of life, while it has also unreal things, unreality.
They're not exactly talking to me, but I'm like there still.
When I read a book and the person is able to like conquer all the hindrances and things that's happening, I feel I can also do it.
It helps me make the right choice.
I've had friends who, after they started reading, like, they actually realized, like, hey, like, the streets ain't for me.
When people expect things from you, they don't expect nothing else. People never expected me to pick up a book and read, and I actually did it. I knew I could do college after I started reading.
I just think it's cool.
Look at that, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for Scholastic there for letting us show that video as well. So let's get straight into my next guest, back with the continuing adventures of Betty Steady. Please welcome Nicky Smith-Dale. Hello, Nicky.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, that's an absolute pleasure. So Betty Steady is back. She's causing more mayhem. So tell us a little bit about it. So the Betty Steady and the Toad Witch came out last year. We're now back with Betty Steady and the. Well, you better do it because there's no yellow on my screen. Betty Steady.
There we go. It's very yellow, very bright there. Yes. So Betty Steady and the Toad Witch was out last year. That's the first book in the Betty Steady series, which is totally mad and beautifully illustrated by Sarah Horn. The most amazing pictures. So that was out last year, and Betty Steady and the Queen's Orb has just come out. It's been out for a few weeks. Yes, so Betty Steady, a mad series. So in the first book, our heroine Betty, she is a mighty, fighty heroine who defends her castle in Wobbly Rock. Let me show you the amazing map drawn by Sarah Horn. That's the Kingdom of Wobbly Rock. So she defends her castle. She's a massive show-off. But then one day, she gets thwarted by a Toad Witch. That's the Toad Witch there, who casts a spell on her, and Betty is shrunk. So that's the Toad Witch shrinking our Betty. Betty Steady is shrunk, so she's really tiny. So she's not as strong and powerful anymore. And that's the first book. So in the second book, she is still very tiny.
So in the second book, can you give us any kind of giveaways to the second book? I know it involves a turnip festival, and you have a turnip, I believe, as some sort of turnip, don't you? There. So what happened? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I need to show you my turnip. How cute is that? So in Betty Steady and the Queen's Orb, Betty Steady is still very tiny, but the characters are starting to underestimate her a little bit. They think, oh, maybe she's not so strong and mighty anymore because she's so small. The Kingdom of Wobbly Rock gets an invitation to the Turnip Festival, which is in Upper Crust. And so the characters all go to this Turnip Festival. And it's there that she meets a new friend called Misty Jamjar, who is a sprite. She's a bit of a kind of mean girl character, and she persuades Betty to help her steal something called the Orb of Og, which I've got an Orb of Og here to show you, which is a magical orb owned by the Queen of Upper Crust, and it has magical powers, and the powers to potentially turn Betty back to her old, mighty, huge, fighty self.
That's brilliant. If you so the Turnip Festival, I love that. I love that in it. It's kind of crazy, mad, and wonderful all at the same time. Brilliant thing. If you could create your own, I suppose in this world, weird and wonderful festival, it'd probably be a turnip one. And what would it be called? And what would people do to celebrate? Do you think?
I love that question.
Yeah.
I like with the Turnip Festival, I love using food in my stories. I'm always using food as metaphors and vegetables. I just think it's really funny. So I'd probably do something food related. So maybe rather than vegetable, maybe I'd do something like an ice cream festival. I think that would make me
there. My son's there as well.
Imagine
And I think that was quite. Hasn't anyone done that? Hold that idea. That's a good idea. We should do that. Now, we've got a few questions on our chat for you as well, Nicky, and a couple of other questions about Betty, and I know you're going to give us a reading as well. Here we go. So let's try. This is also from, I think, the same school as earlier, but then we've got another school as well. So this is Mr. Hamilton. Hello, Mr. Hamilton from Thongsley Fields. If you could pick a character from any film or book and put them in your stories, who would they be and why? That's a good one, isn't it? Any idea?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, good,
that's a great question. Hello, Mr. Hamilton and class. Would have to really think about that.
Yeah.
Character from any film or book and put them in my stories. I was always a huge Lord of the Rings fan. So I'd probably choose a character from Lord of the Rings. I think maybe Merry and Pippin. If you know the books Lord of the Rings, you'll know Merry and Pippin, two best friends who are hobbits. I think I'd probably choose them. And I think they'd fit in quite well to the world of Wobbly Rock.
Not Sauron, just to turn up.
Maybe a bit too scary.
a bit too much. I got you another question. This is from Mrs. Swan. I'm not quite sure what school Mrs. Swan is from. Hello, Mrs. Swan. Who was your favourite author growing up?
Hello, Mrs. Swan and class. Who did I love growing up? So one of my favourite books was Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. Loved that book. I loved all the Roald Dahl books. Matilda was my absolute favourite as well. And in terms of picture books, I mentioned this one earlier, which was the Princess Smarty Pants books, which are a series of picture books. Not that dissimilar to the Betty Steady kind of style of comedy, I think. Quite quirky, set in a fantasy land. And they were by Babette Cole. And I still love those to this day.
So those ones. Okay, we've got a Betty Steady Library Lovers Day question mashup for you. Let's see how this works to hope it makes sense. As it is almost Library Lovers Day, it's tomorrow, and we're celebrating today, as we know. If Betty had to go on a daring mission inside a magical library instead of a royal vault like in Betty Steady and the Queen's Orb, what kind of treasure do you think she'd find hidden between the books?
Oh, I love this.
That's a question,
isn't it? I'm going to have to write down this idea for another story. I love it.
So, is that when you answer that again?
I think because, as I mentioned before, I love including jokes about food. I'd probably have something like a packet of custard creams hidden secretly in the library somewhere, which might be the most delicious custard creams you've ever eaten.
And also custard creams. I mean, not everyone loves them, but I love custard creams. They're delicious.
I realise I am obsessed with using biscuits in my books. Every single one has so many references to very British biscuits.
The next book from Nicky Smith is not a Betty Steady book. It's called My Biscuit Obsession by Nicky Smith.
Happily write that.
Nicky Smith. Thank you very much for your questions there. Now, are you going to give us a little reading? Then I've got another question for you after the reading as well. So we'll hand over to Nicky for a little reading from Betty Steady and the Queen's Orb, which is out now, isn't it? It's out now.
It's out now, yeah. It's been out for a few weeks.
Let me hand over to you for that, Nicky. Here we go.
So I'm going to do a reading from the middle of the book. This is where Betty and Misty Jam Jar, the sprite, they're trying to steal the Queen's orb. But it's hidden in a vault, and the vault is guarded by a character called Beverly. And I have to show you Beverly there, if you can see her. That's Beverly. And I just really enjoyed writing this description of Beverly. Let me tell you a bit about Beverly. She was 5'1" of pure muscle, arms like fire extinguishers, thighs like cement mixers, abs like speed bumps, and a load of other brilliant similes I don't have time to write because my mum said I have to do the washing up. Oh, Beverly. She wore a black catsuit studded with spikes. She carried an axe called Choppy Bob. Coincidentally, her hair was styled in what's known in the hairdressing game as a choppy bob. Whoa, Beverly. She could bench press 12 Shetland ponies. She could snap a radiator in half just by looking at it. Yep, this woman was tough with a capital B. And tough doesn't even have a B. That's just how tough she was. Beverly had been guarding the Queen's vault every night for 7 years, except for one random Tuesday when she accidentally went to a roller disco. But otherwise, she was always there and always ready to fight off any wrong-uns who dared try to steal from the Queen. And a couple of wrong-uns were on their merry way. Betty and Misty tied Simon Anderson outside the palace, ready for a speedy getaway. I hope you're feeling strong, Betty told her stallion, because next time you see me, I'll be hulky and bulky. Simon Anderson raised a gorgeous eyebrow, as if to say, Betty, my saddle can take the weight of 1,000 shopping bags, and not the pathetic shopping bags filled with the easy bits like bread and crisps. No, the proper weighty stuff like milk and orange squash, the type of bags that leave painful lines on your hands when you carry them in from the car. Betty nodded knowingly. This way, whispered Misty, flying up to a high window. Hurry! Betty climbed Simon Anderson's reins, scaled the wall and scrambled to the top window ledge. She found herself in a shadowy hallway lit by candlelight. Misty led the way through a series of dark passages, past the empty yoga studio and up a winding staircase. Finally, the pair came to a big steel door where the woman herself was waiting. We're here to borrow the Orb of Og, Betty declared, so get out of our way if you know what's good for you. Beverly held Choppy Bob and sneered. She looked Betty up and down, which didn't take long because she was the height of a cheese toastie. You think you can get past me, she said in a voice that sounded like she had dry Weetabix stuck in her throat. What a silly goose. Betty laughed. This silly little goose is about to annihilate you.
Dun, 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 dun. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff. And I love, I think when I had Nicky on before, I love about these books is it's completely, but the word's anarchic. I don't know if a lot of kids watching them will know what I mean, but it's just sort of, a mad humour and biscuits, which you can't beat.
Absolutely, yeah, it's very surreal humour.
It's very, very good. We've got 2 questions already sent in for you, Nicky. If we quite quickly the answers to this, that'd be great. So we can just go through here. So we have Lots was called in Ilford. Thank you very much for your question. How long did it take you to write your book? And I guess, was there a difference in time between the first and the second, I guess?
Yeah, great question. Hello, Loxford School. The first book took me about a year, but I wasn't writing all day, every day. So it was a little bit here and there. And that took me about a year to complete. The second book I wrote when I had a newborn baby. So when I signed my publishing contract to write 3 Betty's Dilly books, I'd already written the first one. And then I was really super excited. And obviously I said, yes, I'll do anything you want. So I agreed to write the second book just as I had given birth to a tiny baby. So I wrote this holding a newborn, which is probably why it's so mad, because I think I was so sleep deprived and delirious at 3 o'clock in the morning. A lot of that
can't help with those sort of books you write. So maybe that's
so that one took me probably about 9 months to write this one.
Yeah. That's that. Oh God, that's incredible. Okay, there's another one. It's quite a long question, but you get the idea. Here we go. So, Richmond Avenue Primary School, Essex. When you write a story, do you start with a plot idea first, or do you think of the character and then about what happens to them? I guess this is kind of thing about children watching and maybe writing their own stories? You know,
Yeah.
Do you have a particular way?
Hello, Richmond Avenue. That's a great question. So for Betty Steady, I remember coming up with the character of Betty Steady and thinking, wouldn't it be great to have a character that's really powerful and strong, but they lose that power somehow? So she's a huge show off. She knows she's great at fighting at the beginning of the first book. But when she gets shrunk down by the Toad Witch, suddenly her power is gone. And I just thought that would be a really interesting start for a story. So I kind of started with the character, and I knew that she would be a big show off. But I had a seed of an idea about where that story might go.
That's brilliant. So Betty Steady and the Queen's Orb and the other one, which I haven't got a copy of here, are both available for your reading pleasure now. Nicky will be back to us very, very shortly for our panel in just a moment. But for now, thank you for joining us. It's Nicky Smith-Dell. Give us a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you in a minute, Nicky. Thank you very much. Okay, now it's time for paper, pens, pencils, whatever you got there at the ready, because we're going to go back to the wonder that is Sarah McIntyre for our draw along today. So let's bring Sarah back. Welcome back, Sarah.
Hi, thanks, Mr. Dilly. And that was great, Nicky. We really enjoyed that. So I'm going to show you how to draw Pedro from Adventure Mice books. And if you look at the back of the first book, you can actually learn how to draw them, or on our website, adventuremice.com. So I'm going to walk you through drawing it. I want you to turn your paper the tall way, so it looks a bit like the one I have here. And take your pencil or pen. And when I say pencils in the air, I want you to hold up your pencil or pen and look it forward so you know what the next step's going to be. So let's practice. 1, 2, 3, pencils in the air. Great. Okay. Right. First thing I want you to do is kind of go in the middle of the paper, right? About a little bit to the left, and do a big letter C. This is going to be Pedro's ear. So it's going to be at least as big as your fist when you're drawing. And then pencils in the air when you've got your C. Okay. Now go to the top of the C here and do a line that comes out like that. And then you go to the top of that line and make his nose point right there and come down right about here. Okay. And then you'll go under his ear and you'll come and bring that line so it meets that line there. Right. Now we're going to draw his face. So actually, no, we'll do the inside of his ear first. And inside the big C, we're going to do another C, but it's not quite so bendy. It's a little bit smaller, less bendy. There we go. And then go to the top of that and trace the inside of the ear around like that. And he's quite a hairy little mouse, so we're going to put some hair in the ear. So I usually do 5 bits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now pencils in the air. Right, next thing we're going to do is his eyes. And you can see both eyes at the same time on one side. So 2 dots like that. Nice and dark. And a little mouth. Could be smiling or not. Doesn't matter. And then he has some whiskers. So I usually do 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. And he's got a sort of a quiff coming off the top of his head. So you're going to do a piece of hair coming up like that. One like that, a bit like he's got antenna. And then between those 2 lines, you go to the top and go down, up, down, up. And it's like 3 pieces of hair sticking up. And again, he's quite a hairy little mouse, so let's put some hair on his face. Just little tick lines. Wish I could hear all the sound of it in your classrooms. Right, now he's got a little hoodie on, so we're going to draw that. So go to the side here and do a line that comes around like that. And then go under his ear and do another line coming around like that. And pencils in the air. Okay. Now we're going to do his arms sticking up. So it's a little line here. And then we'll do the cuff, straight line. And then come back toward the body. And then we're going to do his thumb. It's the easiest way to start a hand. So do like an upside down U, like that. And then 3 fingers. So 1, 2, 3. On the other side, we're going to do it in reverse. We're going to do a little line coming out here. And down for cuff. Back toward the body. And then this time we'll do like the letter J for the finger. And then 3 fingers here. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do the sides of his raincoat. So on this side, comes out like that. And on this side, like that. And then join them up with a gently bending line. And it's got a little zipper down the front. So we're going to put a zipper here. Oh, and sometimes you can just see a bit of his turtleneck peeking up here. So you might draw a little line across here and show the lines of his turtleneck. Just sometimes you can see that more than other times. Right, little jumper. Okay, now it's going to do his feet. And the first front foot is like the letter L. So it goes like that. And that's how he actually used to draw when I was little. That's all I did. But you can draw 3 little toes now. 1, 2, 3. And then after you draw the 3 toes, curl back around the foot and go back up to the body. And for his other leg, it's a little bit the same, but it's a bendy letter L. So it's going to bend and come down. And again, 3 toes. 1, 2, 3. Curl around, follow that leg line. And they're hairy little legs. So when you're finished with that, just add little hair marks. Now he's missing one thing. He's missing his tail. So we're going to pretend this line comes back down through his foot and then start here. And a tail can go anywhere you have space. Fit that tail. It could even go off the paper. And then go to the tip of it and follow it back to the body. A little wider as you get to the bottom. Might skip the leg there. Come up. And then give it stripes. This is good for when you color it in later. You can do a 2-tone tail. It might be pink and red or pink and dark pink. Or even blue and green if you want. And I'll show you a cool trick to make him look like he's jumping along, not just plastered onto the board. You do a kind of a shadow underneath, but make sure he's not touching it. So it looks like he's up in the air a bit. Just a scribble, really. There we go, a little scribble shadow. And he's so excited. He's just radiating enthusiasm for the next adventure. And the last thing you do is to do your artist's name. So I'm going to write Sarah. But you write your name because it's your picture. There we go.
That's brilliant. No, I did it. I got one.
Let's see. Well done, Mr. Dilly.
Yay.
That's great. Aww.
That's brilliant. So that Adventure Mice draw along from Sarah there. Thanks very much, Sarah.
Welcome.
Sarah joined us. There we go. By the way, you can see the Adventure Mice website there. This is adventuremice.com. Teachers, children, if you go on there, it's the most brilliant website. It's got loads of videos on there for reading or for drawing. Obviously, all the books are on there. Got loads of resources on there. It's absolutely fantastic. So do check that out as well. For now, Sarah, thank you very much. You'll be joining us in just a minute. Look at that. Adventure Mice drawer on Sarah McIntyre. Thanks, Sarah. That's brilliant. Look at that. Isn't that brilliant? Really, really good. Okay, now we are nearly towards the end of the show and our author panel, and we're going to go into part 2 in a minute because I know some of you have got to go off. But I'm going to give the opportunity to do this. You can win the show. Oh, yes. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to turn up in a box wrapped up in your school. Basically, all you need to do is this. You can win a copy of all 3 books. Obviously, you've got Jennifer Bell's coming up soon. So for your class, so Adventure Mice, Mice Camera Action, Magicalia, Thief for Shadows, which is coming up soon, and Nicky Smith-Dale's Betty Steady and the Queen's Orb. All you need to do is post some pics of your class enjoying today's show, teachers, on Instagram or X, and copy in Mr. Dilly Presents, and I will comment on that. And you can just, if you want, just hold up the pictures that you've drawn today, whatever you want to do, and you'll instantly get entered into that. And then I'll just draw a lucky winner, and then I'll send the books free for your class to enjoy. It closes midnight on the 14th of February. So let's go into part 2, and then we're going to welcome all our guests back for our Once Upon a Library panel. Okay, fantastic. So let's welcome back Nicky Smith-Dale's back. Hello, Nicky Smith-Dale. And Reeve and McIntyre now. They're back together again. Back together again. Fantastic. So, thank you very much for the show so far, all of you. It's been absolutely brilliant, really, really inspiring for me, let alone I think anyone watching. But it is Library Lovers Day tomorrow, and as we're celebrating today. Now, you sort of mentioned this, all of you, a bit earlier on when we were talking, but you mentioned about your favourite books. Do you remember that first time when you were a kid, when you actually went into a library? Do you remember that sort of vividly, and what that maybe felt like for you? Nicky, any thoughts on that?
I don't remember first going into a library, but I do remember looking up at the big shelves in awe and just thinking, there are so many books here. This is amazing. I also remember using my school library in my secondary school, actually. And me and my best friend, we used to go into the library sometimes at lunchtime, and we would play a game where we would both choose a book, and we would have a page open, and we'd each choose a word and take it in turns to say that word to try and make a story. I mean, it might show that we were a little bit sad, to be honest, but we loved it. We thought it was really fun.
I think that's great. What about yourself? What about you, Philip? Do you remember that at all? Is it quite vivid or not?
No, as I was saying earlier, I guess my parents were probably taking me to the library from when I was about 2 or something, so I can't remember the first time. I remember the Brighton library we used to go to. There was like the children's section, and then there was a big door at the end, and you could get through that into the grown-ups library. And I remember when I got to like about sort of 12, I was kind of starting to get more interested in stuff in the grown-ups libraries, and I was starting to read science fiction and stuff like that. So I eventually sort of went through the big door, and I was in the grown-ups.
Did it feel weird? Do you remember that? Was it like a sort of a portal into another world? Was it kind of like...
I mean, I guess I've been through it a lot, because I looked at my books in the kids' library, and then when I got them all, then I would go and find my mum and dad in the grown-up section anyway. But yeah, there came a point when I was getting more books from the grown-ups section.
Great feeling, that, isn't it? I remember that sort of like,
absolutely, yes, like the coming of age stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. What about yourself, Sarah?
Actually, where I grew up in America, we had lots of libraries. So I had the public library, and there was the school library and the church library, and then all my parents' friends had loads of books, and my parents had books, so everywhere was books, and it was just like, oh, I just loved it. We'd take a whole big apple box to the library, at the public library, and fill the whole apple box every week, and I'd read like 2 books in the car on the way home.
That's amazing. If you could build, all of you, if you could build, say someone going and said, well, you can build your dream library. You've got. Here's the thing. What would it look like, and what sort of cool things do you think you would have in it, or could possibly have in it? So, Nicky, if you could, if you could build a dream library.
I'd love to design a library. I think it's nice to have little cozy corners where you can take a book and just hide away. So maybe somewhere with loads of like cushioned areas. And I love libraries that have themes. So you might have like a little boat you can go and sit in, like with cushions, and get all cozy and comfy in a boat and hide away and get lost in your imagination in a book somewhere that's really beautiful.
What about yourself? Any thoughts, Philip and Sarah? What would you?
I think I'd like an underwater library, and it would be all staffed by mermaids.
This is the bath thing again.
I love that.
People like sponges that didn't dissolve, and you can do them.
An underwater library,
You just have to laminate the pages; it will be fine.
There's always a way. There's always a way. What about you, Phil? Would you go into that underwater library? Would you prefer?
No, that would be damp. I think I'd have a library. I'd have a library built in something like Sarah's treehouse here. I think you could put a very good library in there. If it was big enough, it would be a mouse-sized library. That would be big. But if it was a big tree,
could my mermaids come and visit it in little aquariums?
Yeah, the underwater library can be down here in a pond, and they can kind of. It would be like going to the Brighton library. You'd go from the treehouse library into the underwater library.
It's good for all seasons, which is
awesome.
Okay, here's another one. Okay, this probably lies. If you could think of a challenge? Or can you think of a challenge or a mystery, this is kind of good for the kids, that you could solve using books in a library? That's quite a hard one, isn't it? But it's good though, isn't it? Because the kids watching, you can sort of think, could I try and solve a mystery, or find a puzzle, or discover a clue to some part of a piece of history using books in a library? Is there any particular thing that you think, I don't quite know that, but I'd like to give it a go by trying to find it in the library? Any particular thing?
Ooh, I mean, there might be like a secret pharaoh's curse or something, and you could like discover like the books on ancient Egypt and find the curse and solve.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe find the ancient tomb that's hidden. Yeah.
Well, there could be bits and pieces of clues. You know, a important document torn up and stuffed in lots of different books. And you have
can you imagine that? That's really, I like that. That's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah, little bits all dotted around the library, bring them together. What about you? What about yourself, Nicky? What about you?
I can imagine like an old dusty book hidden somewhere, all about mythical creatures. So I can imagine a story about where, I don't know, dragons or something came to the school, and then they discovered this old book all about dragons in the library that would help them solve the clues.
I love that. And why do you think you know, libraries, if children watching are lucky to have a school library or a public library or both or either, why do you think they can be such magical places for children and adults actually? But why are they that, and can they be that? So Nicky, I'll ask you. Oh, sorry.
I think they're such a safe space, aren't they? They're a place where you can kind of go and be yourself and find a book that you really love, and maybe talk to a librarian about what you love to read, and then just get lost in a book. And it's really about kind of that joy of reading, that pleasure of reading, isn't it? It's a space where you can just really indulge in that, and find something that you really enjoy.
That's brilliant. What about yourself, Philip and Sarah? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's like a portal. It's like you can dive into any kind of portal to go. You can go into space. You could go to ancient Egypt. You can go to anywhere,
and you can find things out. You know, it's before the internet came along. That was where you went to look for answers to things. You know, you couldn't Google stuff. You had to. If I wanted to find something out when I was a kid, you'd go to the library to do it.
Yeah.
To some extent, I think that's still the best way to do so.
And also, you can discover illustrators you never seen before.
You do it in a different way.
I used to take books and copy out my favorite illustrations, like where the wild things are that you like. I would draw the monsters, and it was such good practice to learn how other illustrators drew.
So just kind of what you said there. So this is for all of you. If you could, might be one of your own books, but if you could jump into the world of any book, which one would you choose and why? If you could jump into the world of any book, that's Philip and Sarah. Any thoughts?
I think I would jump into Philip's book, Utterly Dark. He has a book called Utterly Dark in the Face of the Deep. And there's a girl in it can breathe underwater.
Hey! So that's so good. I'll be her. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What about you, Philip?
Well, like Nicky, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, so I would probably go to one of the quieter bits of Middle Earth, because I basically lived there since I was about 8 anyway. So I think, the island that Utterly Dark lives on is fairly heavily influenced by the Shire, so I think that's where I belong. Actually,
Philip genuinely does live in Middle Earth. It's Dartmoor, and it's so Middle Earth-ish.
A quick question, Philip. Do you have your own cloak?
I don't. I made a little film a couple of years ago. And we had lots of cloaks for that. Sarah's got one of them, and the other one went to the lead actress. So I have had cloaks made, but I don't actually own one.
Get the chance to go to Middle Earth. Make sure you get a nice cloak.
I will. I'll get the cloak back on Sarah.
That's good. And Nicky, what about you?
I think I'd join you in Middle Earth for sure. I also think going to Narnia would just be amazing. I'd love to go through and see Mr Tumnus to greet me there with the snowy scene with the lamppost. I'd love that.
By the way, for the children watching, I don't know if any of you watch it. Last year I read all the Narnia books right the way to the last one, and obviously the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. A lot of children will be familiar with that. It's the most famous one. But when you get to those last books, I think it's the last battle, and the one before is it the Silver Chair or something like that? And they are incredible, the last 2 books. I don't know if you read them. So, children, if you ever get a chance to read all those books and go through to the end, you do give that a go. They're amazing. Now, we could talk all day about libraries, books, stories, all the rest of it, but alas, we cannot. It's been an absolute joy to have you all on today. Good luck with your books and the continuing adventures of Adventure Mice, of course. The continuing crazy adventures of Betty Steady as well, and her lovely turnips. Obviously, enjoy going underwater anytime you want, Sarah. That's good. Philip, we'll be seeing you all in Middle Earth very, very soon. Get your cloak. But for now, Give us a big wave. Thank you very much, Nicky Smith-Dale and Reeve and McIntyre. Give them a big clap. Thank you very much, all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say goodbye. And that's the end of Once Upon a Life. Okay, now I know some of you got to go. Some of you are already probably gone, but you can watch again, as I said, on catch up on this same link. Now we have Jennifer Bell coming up. This is the pre-record from Jennifer. It goes on for about 10 to 12 minutes or so. And then it's the end of the show. So I'm going to hand over to this pre-record from Jennifer now. Wow, look at that. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so my final guest today on this Library Lovers Day Joy of Reading special. Well, she's the author of The Uncommoners, The Crooked Sixpence. I love that book. And The Fabulous Wonderscape. And I always say this wrong. Legendarium? Legendarium. I stand to be corrected. I'm here today to talk about the second book in her latest series, Magicalia, The Thief of Shadows. Please put your hands together and welcome to this Library Lovers Day special. The wonderful, come on, give us a round of applause, Jennifer Bell. Hello, Jennifer. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thanks. It's so nice to be here and joining you all.
No, it's lovely. No, I understand. We had a chat before the show today, everyone, and Jennifer's got a very excited dog today. So the dog, is he going to make an appearance or just make a noise?
He's literally. I'm gonna have a quickly show you him, because then hopefully he'll sort of say hello, and then he's a cuddler. He's a real cuddler. His name's Apollo, but he's an attention seeker, guys. So if he does pop his snout up at any point while I'm talking, he's just a big attention seeker.
I love that. What a beautiful dog. He's obviously in mid-kip, so we just disturbed him. We could actually obviously look and stroke the dog, all day. I love a dog. But we're here to talk about yourself and your wonderful new series. The second book is out now. Before we get into that, for those who aren't familiar, I mentioned a couple of your other books before that, but those aren't familiar with, with yourself or your kind of book series as they are so far. Shall I hand over to you? Tell us a little bit about that, and then we're jumping to talk about your latest series as well. So hand over to Jennifer just to tell us a little bit more about herself. Here we go.
Yeah, well, I have been an author for a long time, about 10 years now, and I started off being a children's bookseller. And when I was little, I didn't like reading at all. I used to find it took me a lot of effort to sit down sort of quietly and concentrate on the words in a book when I could just be hanging out with my friends or watching TV or playing video games. That didn't feel like that was any effort at all, but reading felt like a major effort. And I only got into reading when I was in my early 20s, and I was given a book, an amazing fantasy book called Eragon by Christopher Paolini. And some of you might have already read that and seen that book. It's about a boy who finds a dragon's egg hidden in the forest outside of his village. And that book was the first time, reading that book was the first time I'd read anything that I'd enjoyed ever. So it was a really, really big deal. And it helped me understand how amazing reading can be. And just from that one book, I got into reading and I became a bookseller. And then I started writing books because I wanted to see if writing a book would be as much fun as reading one was. So that's why I started writing.
So Magicalia is your latest series. Now it came out, so Race of Wonders came out last year. Is that right?
Yeah, Race of Wonders came out last summer.
Yeah.
And then this is the new one, Thief of Shadows. Which
it always goes weird on my green screen, but the Thief of Shadows are on this screen over here. Right, how do we do this without you kind of giving the entire plot away? Okay, tell us a little bit about that first book, what it's kind of about. There was a bit of a hint of it, obviously, in the trailer there. And then where we find ourselves in this.
In the second one, sure.
Yeah, so let me hand over to you for that, Eric.
Sure. So Magicalia is about two best friends called Bitsy and Kosh. You can see them on the front cover of both books, and they live in a tiny village in the middle of nowhere where nothing exciting ever happens at all until one day when Bitsy's dad is kidnapped by a strange woman with a really weird creature. It's actually, you know what, it's actually this creature here. Looks a bit like she calls it a hamstocerus, like a giant hamster that's purple with a big rhinoceros horn. And this creature and this strange woman kidnap Bitsy's dad, and Bitsy and Kosh have to go off on a round-the-world adventure to try and save him. And along the way, they discover that there's this secret world of magicors, and magicors are creatures conjured from different emotions. So that's the adventure in the first book. So it's sort of like a rescue mission to rescue Bitsy's dad. And then in the second book, Bitsy and Kosh, by this point, they've learned how to conjure magicors themselves, and they're training to be conjurers at a sort of secret academy. However, Kosh gets framed for a theft that he didn't commit. And so Bitsy and Kosh must go on the run. They must flee to try and clear his name. And along the way, while they're on the run, they are chased down by the sinister Shadowsmith, who is sort of a really sinister, horrible thief, but no one knows who they are.
The magicors themselves, you've probably been asked this before, you know, so but if you could choose one yourself, what would you choose, and what would you do with it, you know?
That is a really, really good question.
Yeah.
People ask me lots sort of what's my favorite one is, but never sort of which one I'd want to use. And I think it would probably be an Ozoz, which is the one on the front cover of the first book. And an Ozoz is an armorer type magicor. And armorer types have amazing physical abilities. And an Ozoz is conjured from confidence. You know how when you feel confident, you feel sort of like lifted up into the air, don't you? You're sort of chin held high, you feel really confident. And that's sort of what an Ozoz's unique power is, because an Ozoz can jump great distances. So it could jump from London to Edinburgh in a single jump. So it's really, really amazing magical. And I think I'd love to conjure one, because then I could climb on its back, and it would be amazing, sort of like soaring through the air and feeling what that was like, just jumping through the air on those long distances. And I'd be able to travel the world and explore loads of cool places really quickly.
I like that. And so not cheaper. Let's face it, it's not cheaper than airplanes. So it's pretty good. Now, we have a couple of small questions for you. I'm going to ask you one, and then you're going to give us a little reading as well. Is it going to be from Thief of Shadows, the reading?
Yeah, it's going to be from Thief of Shadows, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, let me just get the school question up, and then we will hear from Jennifer for a little snippet. Here we go. So, Ilsham Academy in Devon, who is your favourite character in children's fiction, and why? Which is a massive question.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to pick.
It is.
But I'd probably have to say a really classic, amazing character, like a one-off character, like Peter Pan, maybe, because Peter Pan is just a character that can't be repeated. I mean, a child that never grows up, that idea is just in itself amazing. And he's got this fantastic personality, like he's got some dark bits and some light bits, and he's like an agent of chaos in the story, in any story he appears in. So I think he's a fantastic character.
I think that's a good choice. I would agree with that as well. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so we'll hand over to you now. We've got another school question afterwards, and then a couple of questions to Jennifer on this day special. So let's hand over to you for a little snippet from Thief of Shadows now. So here we go.
So this reading takes place when Bitsy and Kosh are in a high security vault in the conjuring world, which stores lots of amazing treasures. Static buzzed over General Tycon's radio. They all turned to him as he reached for the device on his belt, but before he could use it, the chrysalis walls darkened and everything went pitch black. Bitsy, Kosh called, his voice unsteady. What's happening? I don't know. Bitsy squinted into the darkness, but all she could see were hulking shadows. She heard footsteps and shivered as she felt the air move beside her. Almost as quickly as they had darkened, the walls lit up again. Everyone was standing in the same positions as before. Bitsy frowned. Something or someone had definitely been moving around. A siren wailed outside, sending tremors through Bitsy's chest and scrambling her thoughts. 2 armourer guards rushed in, looking sweaty-faced and pale. General Tycon lifted his chin. We're under attack, one of them spat. In the South American tunnel, they've disabled our communications. Chancellor Herschel paled. Who has? We believe, the second guard glanced warily at General Tycon. We believe it's the Shadowsmith. The Shadow... Caesar's foot slipped against the wall and he almost fell over. The Shadowsmith can't be here. Professor Doyle shook her bird's nest hair in disbelief. The chrysalides are the most secure place in the entire conjuring world. General Tycon's jaw stiffened as he addressed the guards. Reroute Mollowop riders back to the cavern. Barricade the tunnels. Whatever happens, do not let the Shadowsmith escape. This could be our chance to catch them, finally. But General, the first guard shuffled his feet. 2 teams are under attack in the South American tunnel and another 3 on the cavern floor. There's barely enough of us to defend the chrysalides. Caesar went rigid. Well, someone's got to do something because I am not dying here. Bitsy's pulse quickened as she tried to follow what they were saying. She didn't understand how all those guards could be under attack from just one person. What's going on? Who's the shadow smith? As General Tychon rushed outside, Kosh squeezed the farthingstone whistle. Will someone please explain? Chancellor Herschel's expression hardened. The shadow smith is a dangerous thief who has found a way to weaponize darkness, wielding lethal shadow forms strong enough to slice through rock. They wear a hooded cloak as a disguise, Cortes added in an unsteady voice. The Alliance suspects they are a clairvoyant because the only magical known to generate darkness is an Orlos, a clairvoyant type. They've committed multiple thefts in the cosmotypical world in the last year that the Alliance has had to cover up, Professor Doyle chimed in, her face fraught with worry. At the scene of every crime, they leave a chaos sphere. Bitsy's stomach wobbled as she looked at the chrysalis walls, feeling unsafe. The chaos sphere was the symbol of chaos conjurers, loyal followers of Riddlejacks. Devious and cruel, they hid in plain sight, masquerading as regular Alliance conjurers while carrying out Riddlejacks's orders. Bitsy had encountered 2 chaos conjurers in the flesh. One had betrayed her, and the other one had tried to kill her. But why is the Shadowsmith here? Kosh fretted. What do they want? I'm not sure, the Chancellor said, her fingers tightening around the handle of her briefcase. But whatever it is, they must be stopped.
Oh, I love that. I do love that, to weaponize darkness. Isn't that that's a great idea? It really is a great idea. A really, really good idea. Okay, let's have another school question for you, and then a couple of sort of Library Lovers Day questions as well. That'd be great. So there's some Waddingham Primary School in Gainesville. Thank you very much for your question. Where do your ideas come from for such great and engaging stories? Lovely question.
It's a lovely question. It's very complimentary.
Yeah, so I hand over to you. So is it always the same thing, or is it just sort of in your head, or is it little things?
I would say that my ideas come from sort of all over the place, all over the world around me, but they don't just sort of fall into my lap. I have to go looking for them. So as often as I can, I'm sort of reading other books and listening to music and going to exhibitions and looking at art and watching movies and playing games, all to sort of help generate ideas. So like, it's quite a nice part of my job because I feel like everything I do and all the places I travel to all sort of help enrich my mind and my imagination and give me ideas. Because as writers, we have sort of professional imagination, so we have to. Do
you like, what do you do? Do you put them down? Because some people obviously type it all down or make notes on their phone or put it in a notebook or make scrapbooks or whatever. How do you approach that?
I have a note. I have a notebook. It's all of my writing I do on a computer, but the only thing I handwrite is ideas, because you never know when you're going to get one right. It's always my top tip for writers, if you want to be a writer when you're older, is always have a notebook like on you, like just a small little one, like, you know, in your pocket or in your bag or next to your bed, so that whenever you get an idea, and you always get them in sort of the randomest places, you can always sort of I've actually got mine here. Can
we have a look? That's all.
So it's really thin and it's really small, and it can just fit anywhere. You can sort of just pop it in your pocket, and then that's where all my notes go. And then when I'm writing, I'll flick through it, and I might be sort of stuck in a scene, and I'll just flick through it, and there might be an idea that will help me develop that scene, or help give me an idea to help solve a problem that I'm working through.
When you were younger, did you have a did you go to the library, public or school, and do you have a favorite memory or book from that, if you did?
I didn't go to the library. We didn't have a library near me when I was a kid. I wasn't lucky enough to have one, and I didn't have one in my school either. But obviously that was all part of the fact that I didn't like reading. I hadn't been sort of switched on to the magic of reading at that point. But when I finally did get switched on to the magic of reading, and I went to a library, I remember really distinctly the librarian there, because he was really, really tall and he was really amazing listener. And I find that librarians are really good at that. So they're really good at sort of asking you questions about what your favorite types of characters are and how you want to feel when you're reading a book. So do you want to feel excited? Because then I can recommend some action stories. Or do you want to feel scared? Then I can recommend some horror stories. Or do you enjoy sort of puzzling things through? Because then I can give you some mystery stories. And I remember him being a really great listener and like sort of really listening to what I wanted to find, and then using his like knowledge to help recommend books that I might want to look at and try out.
That's wonderful, isn't it? I mean, because you just sort of find something that just fits your own soul, don't you? You know.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you need. Like so many times, I tried reading books I didn't like because they just weren't the right ones for me. And there's so many amazing books out there. You can just look at the Mr Dilly website and see all of the authors there, and sort of like all of the books out there. There's so many to choose from, so there's always going to be something that you like, that resonates with you, that connects with you. Just if you haven't found it yet, you just haven't found it yet.
Just keep trying, I guess. You know,
yeah,
and if it takes you years, don't worry about it. Eventually,
yeah, don't worry. It took me years, and now I'm a full-time author, so it doesn't. Yeah, you just, you know.
Yeah, well, you're a great testament to that. I think that's what's brilliant about it. So it's wonderful. Final question for you, Jennifer, is this: you kind of touched on it earlier. For any of the children watching who haven't really discovered the magic of reading, and you said libraries for you didn't have one near you, public or at school. So, but the magic of reading and finding a way into that. How would you suggest they start their own kind of magical kind of journey? Maybe they have a library even, maybe they have one at school, maybe they don't. But how would you suggest that they do that?
Yeah, well, I think all it takes is not necessarily a great book, but a great reading experience. So what you're searching for is a book that you connect with, that you can just have a good time reading. Libraries, if you're lucky enough to have one, are amazing places for that. They're so magical. You can just sort of get lost in a library and you just don't know what kind of book you'll stumble upon. And if you're at the start of your reading journey and you're just trying to figure out what kind of books you actually like, a library is great because they're all free. They've got such a wide selection, and they've got like audiobooks and ebooks, and you can even sort of rent movies from libraries to find out what kind of stories you like. And I think that's the best thing you can do. Is no one knows what you like reading better than you. So you've got to choose the book yourself, try lots and heaps of different types of stories to find out what it is that you like. And if you're still not quite sure what kind of story you like, think about the stories that are present in your favorite video games or your favorite TV shows or your favorite movies, because there's always a book that will match up with those, that will have the same kind of story elements that you will love.
That's brilliant advice, Jennifer. We could speak all day. We could speak all day, but we cannot. Listen, Magicalia. I say it wrong, then Calia.
It doesn't matter. Either or. Magicalia.
Tomato. Okay. This is ready. It's out now. Yes, out now.
Yeah.
Out now. And you've got the third one coming later in this year.
Yeah. Storm of Chaos is the third one, and then the fourth one's Island of Secrets.
It's got 4. This is incredible, fantastic. So you're going to be very busy. Your dog was very well behaved, so I'm going to give it a round of applause.
Oh, yeah, dog. Yeah, he didn't pop up at all, did he? It's really good. He's asleep on my feet. I can feel it.
Out cold. Jennifer, lovely to talk to you.
Lovely to
Put your hands together. Round of applause. Jennifer Bell, thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks for joining us.
Again, my name is Mr Dilly as usual, and it's goodbye from me, my friends. And it's goodbye from me. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.